Welcome to the Two-Way Street Coffee House. My name is John, and once again, I will be your host. We are following the CDC guidelines, so unless you're talking, you're wearing your mask. Thank you for that. We're an all-volunteer staff. Tonight, we've got Joel doing sound. Tim's our cameraman. Jennifer over there, you can tell which one's Jennifer. She's just the shortest. So we have John, Joel, Jennifer, and Tim. So we've been doing this, not me personally, but this room has been having Friday nights for 51 years. Yay. So tonight we've got the Bittersweet Christmas Band. We've got Phil, Kate, Margaret, and Susan. And again, they're coming together for the holiday. And I stole this from their website. It says they offer a holiday perspective from the reverent to the ridiculous. And they've been on this stage many times, but good news, they're here again tonight. There's a flyer on the table. You can read more about the Bittersweet guys. And so with that, are you guys ready?
We are, John.
Oh, good. And oh, by the way, we are taping this. The only thing the camera sees is the stage, so you don't need to be worried in case you're here when you're not supposed to be. But
the FBI is looking for you.
yeah, sneaking off to hear music.
Yeah.
Maurice is in the background, way in the back room there. He's doing some recordings for a radio show that will be broadcasted another time. So, once again, Bittersweet Christmas Band, take it away, guys.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Now is the time when the dark and the cold are upon us. The days are short, and what light there is dim and muted. Nearly all the living green things of the earth have shed their leaves and sleep dormant. And we human beings, tied to the earth, as we are, even those of us who live in the concrete jungles of crowded cities, feel a terror deep inside ourselves that the light and the warmth will never return again. So we buy living greens, holly, evergreens, poinsettias, bring them inside and deck them with lights. We light candles and sit in front of fires. We dress up in vivid green and bright red, the colors of love and fertility. And perhaps most important of all, we renew our sacred connections with those we love as a way of reassuring ourselves that indeed the light and the warmth and the green of spring will return in the endless natural cycle of growth, death, and rebirth. Bring down the holly and the wreaths of pine, brave and green in the winter time. Gather round the fires that will turn back the night, and we'll dance in the dark of the night. The farm woman rises on Christmas morn, pulls on her boots and she heads for the barn. The cows won't wait, though it's Christmas Day. There's milk to be done and they need fresh air. She works as she works, how the year has gone. Money's been tight, but they're still hanging on. Grateful for the favors of the rain and sun, and we'll drink this day to the year to come. Bring on the holly holly and the wreaths of pine, fragrant and green in the winter time. Gather round the fires that will turn back the night, and we'll dance in the dark of the year. An old man awakens in a shelter bed, vision of Christmas passed in his head, thinking of a smile and a fond embrace. Memory lights up his worn old face. He'll go to the mission where he has some friends. He'll talk and sing till the Christmas ends. Tomorrow they'll be back to the same old hell. The day he leaves, coming jingle bells. We are the children that are sleeping, telling the tales of the newborn. Once a little man brightly lanterns, while they dance in the dark of the year. Bring on the holly and the wreaths of pine, fragrant and green in the winter time. Gather round the fires that will turn back the night, and we'll dance in the dark of the year. In the heart of the city where the gangs run free, an old woman decorates a Christmas tree. The children try to tell her she should move away, but the home is hers, she swears she'll stay. She walks in the lights and she sips some tea, and thinks what a lucky old woman is she. The children will be welcome on Christmas Day, but it's peaceful here when they're gone away. Winter's turning to spring again. Whirl around the fire like our mother dear. Dance to the dark and the years to come. Bring on the holly and the wreaths of pine, fragrant and green in the winter time. Gather round the fires that will turn back the night, and we'll dance in the dark of the year. Dance in the dark of the year.
Thank you. We failed to mention that if you get the hang of any of the songs, you may sing along with us.
Some of you have heard them before.
Yes.
If you would sing in the same or related key, I would be grateful.
And this next song, because we're, of course, too dignified to sing songs with nonsense lyrics like a wop bop a loo bop a wop bam boom. So the chorus of this song is fall de lal de lal de lal de lal de lal de lal de lee. Fall de darrow, fall de daddy,
Sing Tooralai-da. Got that?
It's about people going from door to door and singing and doing mummers plays and
Begging for beer and money.
Other dodgy activities.
begging for beer and money, something we don't know anything about.
I got to be the Turkish knight one time at Fox Valley. He was St. George
I got to get killed twice in the play.
and resurrected too. Jewel Alden can do a lot.
Anyway, this is a song about the uncertainty of life from year to year, especially this time of year.
Boy, is that ever relevant.
Yes. Wassail throughout our town. Our cup it is white and our ale it is brown. Our wassail is made of the good ale and true. So nutmeg and ginger is the best we can do. Father dow, father dow, the dow, father dow, the dow, father dow, the doo. for the devil, for the daddy, sing to the light on. A wassail is made from the elderberry bough, and so my good neighbors will drink unto God. Besides all on earth you have apples in store. Pray let us come in, for it's cold by the door. Dog the dog, dog the dog the dog, dog the dog the dog, dog the dog the dee. Dog the devil, dog the daddy, sing to the light on. There's a master and a mistress sitting down by the fire, while we poor wassail boys do wait in the mire. And so, pretty maid with your silver-headed pin, please open the door and let us come in. All the dog, all the dog, the dog, all the dog, the dog, all the dog, the key, all the devil, all the daddy, sing to the light on. We know by the moon that we are not too soon, and we know by the sky that we are not too high. We know by the stars that we are not too far, and we know by the ground that we are within sound. All the dog, all the dog, the dog, all the dog, the dog, all the dog, the tree, all the devil, all the daddy, sing to the light on. Here's our wassail boys grown weary and cold. Drop a bit of small silver into our old bowl. And if we're alive for another new year, perhaps we may call and see who do live here. All the dog, all the dog, the dog, all the dog, the dog, all the dog, the tree, all the devil, all the daddy, sing to the light on. Thank you.
It's been quite a while since I at least have been out performing live in person with actual humans. It's so nice to see you all.
Thank you very much for coming out.
All right, we'll call that a win-win. Yeah, actually, we did have a bit of loss last year when we played. John Prine was taken from us. This is my favorite John Prine Christmas song.
Hang on just a second, Keith.
Oh, okay.
Keep introducing.
Keep introducing. Okay.
Keep talking.
Actually, speaking of John Prine, my brother's wife's mother went to high school with him. It's a tiny world. He was local talent.
He definitely was talented.
He was. We need to start telling jokes now?
What do you call Santa's little helpers?
Subordinate clauses.
Say, what is Santa's ethnicity?
North
North.
Polish.
North Polish. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
What goes ho, 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 thud?
That is Santa Claus laughing his head off. I read that in Boys Life magazine a long time ago.
Okay.
They're gonna run away. Hey,
think
don't
we-
go.
All right, there you go.
I think you're all saved by the
Here's
tuning.
my beautiful silvery 12 string sounding pretty. All
Okay.
right.
Anyway,
It was Christmas in prison. The food was real good. We had turkey and pistols carved out of wood. And I dream of him always, even when I don't dream. His name's on my tongue and his blood's in my stream.
wait a while, eternity. Old Mother Nature's got nothing on me. Come to me, run to me, come to me now. We're rolling, my sweetheart, we're flowing right now.
He reminds me of a chess game with someone I admire, or a picnic in the rain after a prairie fire. His heart is as big as this whole goddamn chain, and he's sweeter than the siren at a drugstore sale.
Wait a while, eternity. Old Mother Nature's got nothing on me. Come to me, run to me, come to me now. We're rolling, my sweetheart, we're flowing right now.
The searchlight in the big yard swings round in the dark. It spotlights the snowflakes like dust in the sun. It's Christmas in prison, there'll be music tonight. I'll probably get homesick, I'll probably good night.
Wait a while, eternity. Old Mother Nature's got nothing on me. Come to me, run to me, come to me now. We're rolling, my sweetheart, we're flowing right now. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's interesting hearing Kate sing that song from a feminine point of view. Always makes me wonder what she did.
Yeah, she's in a serious prison that got machine guns and turrets.
Kathy Kelly, an activist from the Chicago area that's been around a good part of the world promoting peace, was actually in a federal prison. Most of the women in the prison were there because someone had abused them to the point where they killed that person. And Kathy, among other people, was working to make sure that their kids did not lose track of where their mothers were.
Well, we're going to go. Actually, Margaret can explain this song better, but it's got a nice chorus.
Yes. Every star shall sing a carol. This was Sidney Carter writing just about the time that science fiction started to really consider the width of the universe. Possibly more than one baby, possibly more than one species, multiple intelligent species, possibly. We don't know.
Stars above, earth below. Holy is the name I know.
Every star shall sing a carol, every creature wild will know. Come and praise the child of heaven.
Stars above, earth below.
for creation had a cradle on his earth. For he was the human body, holy was the human birth.
Stars above, earth below, holy is the name I know.
Who can tell what other cradles high above the Milky Way still may rock the child of heaven on another Christmas day?
Stars above, earth below, holy is the name I know.
Who can tell what other bodies love will hallow for its own? I will praise the Son of Mary, brother in mighty blood and bone.
Stars above, earth below, holy is the name I know. Stars above, earth below, holy is the name I know. Thank you.
Isn't this the first year that the government has actually said, yes, we have been tracking unidentified flying objects for some time? See, science fiction is becoming science.
Woohoo! Well, you know, cell phones started on Star Trek.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, this is a new song for our repertoire. It was written by Jennifer Cutting of the Ocean Orchestra. She put out a CD, the Ocean Orchestra, I should say, put out a CD called Song of Solstice, and this is the title song. And if you want Christmas music or solstice music that's not too syrupy, you should look that up at some point. And this one is basically about the solstice, and it's got a nice catchy chorus.
The year turns in less than 20 days. Yay!
Tis the gateway of the year, shortest day and darkest hour, praises as our newborn sun journeys back to its full power. Raise the song of solstice high through the wind and weather. Welcome you with frost and fire, and sing we all together. Blessed be the darkest steep, all we learn there well worth knowing, as below the seas long sleep, nourished hope for springtide's growing. Praise the song of solstice high through the wind and weather. Welcome you with frost and fire, and sing we all together. Troubles of the old year past, burning in the open fire, making way for greater gifts, glowing with our heart's desire. Praise the song of solstice high through the wind and weather. Welcome you with frost and fire, and sing we all together. Merry meet and merry part, merry meet again. Strangers only at the start, now our friends until the end. Praise the song of solstice high through the wind and weather. Welcome you with frost and fire, and sing we all together. Raise the song of solstice high through the wind and weather. Welcome you with frost and fire, and sing we all together.
That one, I suspect, is going to be whistled a lot as Christmas follows Christmas as Yule and Solstice.
Yes. Nice earworm. Well, I understand that we're moving away from a coal economy, and in fact, this is certainly the case, I think. This song is written by Chicago's own Chris Farrell, who grew up in a mining community in Pennsylvania. And they used to take all of the unused gunk that was not something useful like coal and heap it up into this mammoth mountain of hot, stinky, smoking gunk. Did I mention it was really awful? You can surmise. And on the top, at Christmas time, the miners would erect a beautiful shining star and train a light on it, giving a strangely beautiful and hopeful aspect to this mammoth heap of trash.
You couldn't see the heap of trash once the sun went down. All you saw was the star shining over this community.
That must have looked so cool.
Yeah.
It whispers prayers for peace on the earth and goodwill for all women and men, as it sheds its light across the night of this hard rock Bethlehem. A star is shining as the miners sleep tonight, shining down on this cold town with the peace of the heavenly light. But somewhere under all the tons of this black and this burning blue, there's a beating heart of green and a promise we must fulfill. There's a song of water and wood, a song of the air and the earth, a gentle seed waiting patiently for this day of miraculous birth. A star is shining as the miners sleep tonight, shining down on this cold town with the peace of the heavenly light. And who will be the chosen ones to
be born on this cold winter's day. Name them well and show them all of the places that they can say.
May they rise in favor and grace like a star that is shining near, and bring glory to a newborn world and the hope of a happy new year. A star is shining as the miners sleep tonight, shining down on this cold town with the peace of the heavenly love.
Last chance to sing.
A star is shining as the miners sleep tonight, shining down on this cold town with the peace of the heavenly light, shining down on this cold town with the peace of the heavenly light.
Phil and I have played in a number of configurations, one of which included Michelle Thomas, who learned this particular song when she was singing with one of the choruses in town. It's a Polish.
And you'll know the other one.
Very possibly.
Hush, you Jesus, baby King, see a coat of fur we bring. We will hush you, rock you, wrap you, that sweet sleep may warmly lap you. Hush, you darling little one, Mary's baby, Mary's son. Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the bright sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. The cattle are lowing, the poor baby wakes, but little Lord Jesus no crying he makes. I love thee, Lord Jesus, look down from the sky and stay by my cradle till morning is nigh. I was in junior choir, yes, and I think that was the first song that we learned.
All right, well, I try to write a Christmas song every year, and usually it ends up being Christmas, solstice, winter. Usually it ends up being every other year, but in 2003, it was already late in the season. It was early December, and I had yet to come up with nothing. And then I received the publication from the electric company in the part of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where Phil and I now live. And there was this wonderful man who used to write a column, and it was always the second to last page of the publication. I never looked at the rest of it, But as soon as I got it, I flipped it open and found this story there. Now, Phil and I have moved up to this area of the world, and, we know this guy. He's everywhere.
He's an everyman figure, and we're only like 33 miles from paradise. If you can believe
Yes. And turns out the guy Ben, the crazy guy in the song, who makes our Kate over there, this sister of electricians, cringe, is a Sault Ste. Marie fire department guy.
Firemen are the guys who run into the fire.
I think this explains a lot, actually.
Yes. Or don't try this at home.
Yeah. But
You'll see.
yeah, sometimes that UP competitive spirit, without having a whole lot to say, is actually
Or
Quite-
common sense, but
yeah, that too. Way up on Lake Superior in Michigan's UP, there is a town called Paradise on Route 123. The winter there comes early, many months before it goes. The bitter wind whips off the lake with ice and sleet and snow.
in paradise the Christmas lights are put up
late in fall, with lots of competition for the best display of all. One late November day, a guy named Jim was out again, stringing lights on pine trees when he saw his neighbor Ben. "Hey Ben," he said, "look over here. These strings of lights are huge, but you're not putting any up. I think you must be Scrooge." Now Ben, he made no answer, but he took his axe in hand and headed out into the swampy northern forest land. 1 hour later, Ben in cap and wading boots was seen, dragging out into the lake a 12-foot evergreen. 300 feet from shore he stopped while singing merrily. He pumped a pipe into the sand in which he put the tree. That evening, just as darkness fell, the tree burst into light. Ben called up Jim, "Top that," he said, and chortled with delight. Up in the frozen Northland, where the winters are so cold, this man in cap and waders, like his ancestors of old, defies the growing darkness with his shining Christmas tree. Out in the icy waters of Superior. Now Ben, he puts a tree up on that shoreline every year. It's grown to be a big event. The townsfolk come and cheer. 1 year, the outside temperature was 5 degrees below. They told him, "Ben, don't do this thing," but he was bound to go. The pipe, the lights, the pump, the tree he put in his canoe. Along with 3 extension cords, he brought a blowtorch too. He launched the boat with grim determination on his face. He followed in his waders with the waves up to his waist. He reached the spot he wanted and he tried to sink the pipe, but soon the pump was frozen shut with water turned to ice. He used the torch to thaw it out, but set that tree ablaze. He put that fire out right quick. The neighbors were amazed. He finally got the toasted pine tree upright in the sand. But then the live electric cord was slipping from his hands. The folks all thought the current would electrocute their band, who reached below the water and he plugged it in again.
They fed him shots of brandy when he made it home that night. In paradise, he'll always be the king of Christmas lights. Up in the frozen Northland, where the winters are so cold, this man in cap and waders, like his ancestors of old, defies the growing darkness with his shining Christmas tree. Out in the icy waters of Superior.
Definitely don't do that at home. You know, he really should have not plugged it in to start, and then he could come back in his canoe and triumphantly. No. Anyway. The next song we came to know from the fabulous, and I think not out here tonight, Andrew Calhoun. Andrew had been enjoying rereading a lot of the work of Eleanor Fargen, also a favorite author of my youth. And this was a poem about Christmas, which has so many tender little bits and so much nature that I just can't hardly stand it. But I hope you will.
Joseph Campbell could write a chapter about this poem.
He probably did.
He might have.
The shepherd and the king, the angel and the ass, they heard sweet Mary sing when her joy was come to pass. They heard sweet Mary sing to the baby on her knee.
Sing again, sweet Mary, and we will sing with thee. Earth bear a berry, heaven bear a light. Man, make you merry on Christmas night.
The oxen in the stall, the sheep upon the hill, they are waking all to hear sweet Mary still. The baby is a child, and the child is running free.
Sing again, sweet Mary, and we will sing with thee. Earth bear a berry, heaven bear a light. Man, make you merry on Christmas night.
The people in the land, so many millions strong, all silently do stand to hear sweet Mary's song. The child, he is a man, and the man hangs on a tree.
Sing again, sweet Mary, and we will sing with thee. Earth bear a berry, heaven bear a light. Man, make you merry on Christmas night.
The stars that are so old, the grass that is so young, they listen in the cold to hear sweet Mary's tongue. The man's a son of God, and in heaven walketh he.
Sing again, sweet Mary, and we will sing with thee. Earth bear a berry, heaven bear a light. Man, make you merry on Christmas night. Earth bear a berry, heaven bear a light. Man, make you merry on Christmas night.
Thank
Thank you. We're going to end this set with a song by Dave Carter.
Yay.
It's the sort of retelling of the nativity story, except in modern times and the here and now.
And the salvation is also in the here and now.
We direct your attention on the break to all the goodies and the Shrine to Capitalism. I mean, a lot of you probably have those recordings by the Bittersweets already, but it's never too late to give presents.
Or too early either.
And after the break, we'll be back and with some more songs, obviously.
More jokes?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Anyway,
not.
Oh, yeah,
we were very glad Margaret picked this song as one of her choices, and it's a good way to end this set. It's called American Noel.
We have a difference of opinion in the band about what the wise guys looked like. I personally think they were riding motorcycles.
I think more of the Old West, but they're sort of out of time. And think
Yeah.
of guys in a Western movie, except they're in contemporary whatever
well, there
city
are
of your
still
choice.
cowboys these days, believe it or not. So, and but you can make whatever pictures up you want because that's what this stuff is about. We don't provide you with the pictures; you make your own.
Yes, and the chorus changes, but some of the verses, some of the lines stay the same.
Joy, joy, joy to the wandering soul.
Three wise men riding hard through the cold, lost on some big city street with no place warm to go. They are looking for a manger or a sign in the lights, but they're a long way from Bethlehem tonight. But they heard about a Savior and a preacher in the park who'll camp with the homeless where they shiver in the dark. He'll deliver salvation to the weary and the cold, and he'll bring joy, joy, joy to the wandering soul.
The cleaning lady sighs as she closes up the gate. This job don't quite pay the bills, and she's always working late. But all in a moment comes a light from above.
It's an angel speaking words of joy and love. And he tells her of a Savior and a preacher in the park who'll camp with the homeless under bridges in the dark. He'll deliver salvation to the weary and the cold, and he'll bring joy, joy, joy to the wandering soul. 4 in the morning at the Trade Winds Motel, the register reads all full up and the clerk thinks just as well. But out in the tool shed by an old Coleman lamp, a little family makes its meager camp. And the wise men bring presents and the angels gather round. The cleaning lady slips in through the door without a sound, and an old black dog looks on with the rest at the little babe upon his mother's breast. And there comes a Savior and a preacher in the park, and he camps with the homeless where they shiver in the dark. He delivers salvation to the weary and the cold, and he brings joy, joy, joy to the wandering soul. He brings joy, joy, joy to the wandering soul. Thank you.
All righty, guys. What a great set of music.
Thank you, John.
My name is still John. My
You can't be serious about the holidays all the time.
Nope. Yeah, well, particularly now. The
We're about to fix that.
Yeah, well, that's right. This is more in the February sky where it's cloudy all the time scheme of things. Anyway, I talked a little bit about the process of trying to find something new to say about the holidays every year or two. And in August of 2010, I was sitting on a train coming home from work, and someone sitting next to me was reading a book entitled Influenza, and I was like, that's it! And so I recognized during that process that I had never done the traditional thing that Charles Dickens started of writing a Christmas ghost story. And people sometimes ask, well, where the heck did you get this stuff? I don't know where it comes from. You know, so I can't tell you. And so fiction, but could possibly be true. 1918 was a terrible, terrible year. Not only was it the last year of World War I, one of the bloodiest conflicts in human history, it was also the year when influenza spread across the world. They called it the Spanish flu, not because the Spanish caused it, but because that was where it was first seen or discovered. It actually probably started in the United States in an army camp, but it was an illness where it took people off very quickly, unlike our present pandemic. People could be eating lunch, in one moment, and 3-4 hours later they'd be gone because their lungs would just bleed out. And so I started thinking about this, and there was no vaccine that people could take. And there were people who, like now, were opposed to wearing masks to try to limit the spread of it. And but that's about the only thing it had in common. And as an antidote to all this gloom and doom, at the end of 1918, there was a famous Christmas carol book that was published that became very popular, especially in the United States. So, Christmas 1918. I bought an old house built in 1901 in a small town outside of Chicago. The owner and realtor both seemed quite relieved, though the price that I'd offered was quite low. The lovely Edwardian furniture came with the house, handed down through each owner, including a newly tuned upright piano that stood in the living room corner. I moved in on Friday of Thanksgiving weekend and decked the house out for the season with some old decorations I'd found in the attic. They made the place cozy and pleasing. I rose Christmas morning and started to play some old carols upon the piano from a book in the bench dated 1918, in good shape though the pages were yellow.
Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Then all of a sudden my vision went dim, and the room danced and shimmered around me. When it cleared, I turned round and I found a whole family there in the room
did surround me, a banner proclaiming the Christmas of 1918 was hung up by the chimney. But when I stood up, I was startled to find that apparently they couldn't see me. They opened their presents with parents and children and grandma and uncle contented with whatever they'd gotten, though some were homemade. With the Great War so recently ended, they sat down to dinner and toasted to peace and to health, then stood round the piano and they sang Christmas carols that grandmother played from that book that had not yet turned yellow.
Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world.
I woke up on the couch the next day in my own time and place and recalled what I'd witnessed, and I had to find out who that family had been that I'd seen there so happy at Christmas. I went to an elderly neighbor. She said that the whole family got influenza on the day after Christmas in 1918. All were dead when that fatal year ended. And now every Christmas I play my piano and watch as the room starts to shiver. I'm a guest all unseen of that sweet family as they celebrate Christmas forever. The relatives, the neighbors, they tell me to call in the priest, send them off to a place known as heaven. But there's no place more joyful than right where they are, or at least that's the way I'm believing.
Look now, for glad and golden hours come swiftly on the wing. Oh, rest beside the weary road and hear the angels sing.
Another song that was originally done by the More the Merrier band. I can't give you the Fred Campo baritone, but you know.
Well, I can give you the closest you're going to get. So.
Yeah. And of course, you can all come in on the Born in Bethlehem.
Just my schmata here so my dulcimer doesn't go falling down on the floor. That would be helpful. Oh, hang on. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
Another joke?
Well, you know,
Santa Claus?
I was going to the dentist the other day, and basically they have the booths like right next to each other, and I was getting a crown put on, and actually so was somebody else. I was getting an implant. Someone else was getting crowns, and the guy was saying, you know, Doc, you know, the dentures I had a while ago are just dissolving into nothing. What can you do about that? And the dentist was saying, well, what's your diet? Well, it's mostly broccoli with hollandaise sauce.
Ah, that's your problem, the hollandaise. It's the acid in the hollandaise. You
Well,
could change your diet, and in that way, you could transcend dental medication.
yeah, but what are you going to do for my dentures?
You tell me.
Well, I heard that there's something about chrome dentures.
Yes, that's right. Chrome is the plate for the hollandaise.
You mean there's no plate like chrome for the hollandaise?
We told you they wouldn't.
The jokes, I
We told
mean.
you they wouldn't get any better.
We used to apologize for our sense of humor or lack thereof, but we decided to embrace who we are.
And we have found that a majority of folk fans, for some reason, enjoy bad puns.
Oh, that's much better. Okay.
Children, go where I send thee.
How shall I send thee?
I'm gonna send thee one by one for the little baby
Born by the Virgin Mary, wrapped all up in swaddling clothes, laid down in that manger, born in Bethlehem.
Children, go where I send thee.
How shall I send thee?
I'm gonna send thee 2 by 2, 2 for Paul and Silas,
One for the little bitty baby, born by the Virgin Mary, wrapped all up in swaddling clothes, laid down in that manger, born in Bethlehem.
Children, go where I send thee.
How shall I send thee?
I'm gonna send thee 3 by 3, 3 for the children, 2 for Paul and
Silas, one for the little bitty baby, born by the Virgin Mary, wrapped all up in swaddling clothes, laid down in that manger, born in Bethlehem.
children, go where I send thee.
How shall I send thee?
I'm gonna send thee 4 by 4, 4 for the 4 that stood by the door, 3 for the Hebrew
Children, 2 for Paul and Silas, one for the Virgin Mary, born by the Virgin Mary, wrapped all up in swaddling clothes, laid down in that manger, born in Bethlehem.
children, go where I send thee.
How shall I send thee?
I'm gonna send thee 5 by 5, 5 for the 5 that stayed alive,
4 by the 4 that stood by the door, 3 for the Hebrew children, 2 for Paul and Silas, 1 for the little baby, born by the Virgin Mary, wrapped all up in swaddling clothes, laid down in that manger, born in Bethlehem.
children, go where I send thee.
How shall I send thee?
I'm gonna send thee 1 by 1, 1 for the little bitty baby, born by the Virgin
Mary, wrapped all up in swaddling clothes, laid down in that manger, born in Bethlehem.
I say was born, he was was born. He was born in Bethlehem.
That little glissando on the end is like that. An American song, a 20th century song, a jubilee, a song of great joy, usually I think out of the American black tradition. Well, I'm an American anyway, so what the heck. This is a great song.
Oh, you're black Irish. Close enough.
Oh, thanks, you're right. Behold that star, behold that star up yonder, behold that star. It is the Star of Bethlehem. There is no room found in the inn. This is the Star of Bethlehem. For him who was born free from sin.
It is the Star of Bethlehem. Behold that star. Behold that star up yonder. Behold that star. It is the Star of Bethlehem.
The wise men come on from the east.
This is the Star of Bethlehem.
To worship him, the Prince of Peace.
It is the Star of Bethlehem. Behold that star. Behold that star up yonder. Behold that star. It is the Star of Bethlehem.
A song broke forth upon the night.
This is the Star of Bethlehem.
From angel hosts all dressed in white.
It is the Star of Bethlehem. Behold that star. Behold that star up yonder. Behold that star. It is the Star of Bethlehem.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe it was a cool star like the one that was on the heap of coal rubble.
Well, I was raised on the Midnight Special when I was growing up. And we used to play games while listening to it, way, way, way back. And this is a song that from the repertoire of the Beers family, and I'm not quite sure if Bob Beers wrote this to a traditional tune and just neglected to say he wrote it, because back then a lot of people were like, well, this is a song I collected somewhere. And so I don't know if it's a traditional song or one that he wrote. But it's followed by a traditional Irish Christmas carol called Mary Bore a Son to God, except it's in Gaelic, half a yard long, which you can't pronounce, or I can't anyway. And end with a Breton andro, which is a traditional New Year's dance danced in Brittany by men with their pinky fingers linked barefoot in the snow.
It is a very brisk dance.
I read that on the back of a record jacket, so I know it must be true. So that's called the Andro Neves. So it's the three little drummers and Mary Bore a Son to God and Andro Neves. The chorus, you'll get the hang of this.
Valley and stubble and river and rill, three little drummers came over the hill. Three drummers from Africa leading the way to play for the baby on Christmas Day.
Three little drummers stood on the high ground. They marched all about and they circled around. When they were abreast, three in a line, and off they did go for to follow the sign. Valley and stubble and river and rill, three little drummers came over the hill. Three drummers from Africa leading the way to play for the baby on Christmas Day. Baker and beggar and soldier and Jew, who do as they will and as other men do. When they were abreast, three in a line, then off they did go for to follow the sign. Valley and stubble and river and rill, Three little drummers came over the hill, 3 drummers from Africa leading the way to play for the baby on Christmas Day. Sheep in the pasture did wander afar to join with the brothers to follow the star. When they were abreast, 3 in a line, then off they did go for to follow the sign. Valley and stubble and river and rill, 3 little drummers came over the hill, 3 drummers from Africa leading the way to play for the baby on Christmas Day. Then cities did open and nations arise to follow their kings in the light in the sky. When they were abreast, 3 in a line, then off they did go for to follow the sign. Valley and stubble and river and rill, 3 little drummers came over the hill, 3 drummers from Africa leading the way to play for the baby on Christmas Day. Thank you. Thank you.
My mother always told me that you shouldn't percuss. At least I think that's what I thought she said.
In public? Ooh.
So, technical question, Kate. D minor or B flat minor?
Whichever one is lower.
Okay.
Thanks, Phil. You can only tune so much with these, you know. This song is particularly suitable at this time of the year because it's Advent. This is an Advent song, literally a waiting period before Christmas. Did you have comments about Advent? I'm putting you on the spot. See, Margaret grew up in a different church. I was old-time Irish Catholic, and we had, you know, the Advent wreath with candles and stuff.
Well, my parents did some of that too.
You had Santa Lucia, which is
Yes.
totally cool.
We didn't do Santa Lucia, but,
Oh. Well, yeah, you were all boys.
well, yeah.
Yeah. The idea of Advent is to quiet your heart and your mind and open it to holiness.
A more pleasant form of Lent.
I gave up Lent for Lent.
Cheater.
To whom did you lend it, and when are you getting it back?
I don't know.
You better sing.
O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Israel. O come, desire of nations, bind all peoples in one heart and mind. Bid and peace, strife and quarrel cease. Fill the whole world with heaven's peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou key of David, come, and open wide our heavenly home. Make safe the way that leads on high, and close the path to misery. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Veni, veni, Emmanuel, captivum solve Israel, qui gemit in exilio, privatus Dei filio. Gaude, gaude, Emmanuel, nascetur pro te Israel.
All right.
That's our trilingual song. It's got your Latin, it's got your English, and it's got your Australian.
Good day. Good day.
All right. Well, I totally forgot. If this show gets too slick for you, just let us know that I needed to retune this guitar on the break. But I think that since it's only a couple of strings, I can probably do that and talk about this song. This is the new song for this year, so please be gentle. It's about 3 minutes old. And I spent, for some reason or other, I spent the last, year or so with my nose in books written by wonderful female authors who did a lot of research and wrote beautifully done historical novels set in the Old Norse period of time. Pre-Christian, most of them. Some of them, they're coming up against one another. And it's kind of hard to tell, which one the author's really in favor of, or if she's not in favor of either one. But interesting stuff, and nonetheless, in the Old Norse pantheon of gods, the female goddesses were just as important as the males. They were not considered lowly or underlings or anything like that. And when Yuletide came, the war had to stop. It was too cold. In many cases, they didn't anyway. But without that, they wouldn't have it. So you had all of the women who followed the path of these different goddesses. And interestingly enough, there is one of them, Frau Halle. She is one of the goddesses of hearth and home. And her celebration day was December 25th. I never knew that in all these years. So tribute to the women in this day and age who are still following.
B string.
B string, okay.
a B.
I know. It's a terrible thing to do to a dyslexic.
Heard about the dyslexic that tried to commit suicide?
Threw himself behind a bus. As one of them, I can attest that could actually happen. Ah, there we go. She stands at the stove and she opens the oven. There's a ham and a casserole made with green beans. On the counter are cookies she baked just this morning. They are waiting for frosting in red, white, and green. There are friends and relations all making their way to her home for her good food and fireside bright. She has never once heard of the goddess Frau Halle, but she follows her path on this dark winter's night. In the coldest of countries, when Yuletide came round, 1,000 and more years ago, when survival till spring was an uncertain thing, and the ground was all covered with snow, and the goddesses reigned as the winter descended, and the work of the women was honored. She sits in her living room, yarn all around her, every hue of the rainbow in neatly wound skeins, and the sweaters she knits for her grandkids for Christmas will keep them all snug in the snow and the rain. And the parents are grateful, for times have been hard, and the cost of such clothing their budgets can't stand. Granny walks in the paths of the women who followed the Norse goddess Hulda with the work of their hands. In the coldest of countries, when Yuletide came round, 1,000 and more years ago, when survival till spring was an uncertain thing, and the ground was all covered with snow, and the goddesses reigned as the winter descended, and the work of the women was honored. She straps on her snowshoes and calls to her wolf dog in the Porcupine Mountains when winter is new. As she moves through the forest, not heeding the cold wind, her parka is warm and her fur mucklucks too. And her bow will sustain her large family this year, with the birds and small game she brings home from the woods. And she offers her thanks to her goddess, bright Scotty, for the mountains are fair and the hunting is good.
in the coldest of countries, when Yuletide came round 1,000 and more years ago, when survival till spring was an uncertain thing, and the ground was all covered with snow. Then the goddesses reigned as the winter descended, and the work of the women was honored. Then the goddesses reigned as the winter descended, and the work of the women was honored.
Thank you.
There was the reverent, and now we're about to go on to the ridiculous.
No.
Yes.
Actually, this is a true story. Every word. I'm swearing. I'm probably in big trouble. This is actually a multi-century-old English traditional song sung at Oxford University, at Queen's College, commemorating a fascinating event when a scholar, I think he was skipping class, was out goofing around in the woods. Rather than reading his thick tome of Plato, he just lay down, put his head on it, and was suddenly aroused from his thoughtful slumber by a big wild boar.
His professor followed him into the woods.
Different kind of boar, Phil. He was actually not much of a scholar, but he was a smart guy. He picked up that enormous tome of Plato and he jammed it into the gaping maw of the boar, thereby making it die from eating someone else's words.
And bringing it home for the holidays.
Yes. You may know this. You are welcome to sing along, and we will be playing periodically on our crummy crumb horns. They sound medieval. The boar's head in hand bear I, bedecked with bays and rosemary. And I pray you, me masters, be merry, quod estes in convivio. Caput apri de ferro, redens laudes domino. The boar's head, as I understand, is the rarest dish in all the land, which thus bedecked with a gay garland, let us servire cantico. Caput apri de ferro, redens laudes domino. Our steward had provided this in honor of the King of Bliss, which on this day to be served at his in regidencia trio. Caput apri de ferro, redens laudes domino. If you have never heard crumhorns, that actually is pretty much what they sound like, but quieter.
All
We
right,
got to
I
see
have
them at a Canadian festival.
I have a request to
Canadian
make.
crumhorns.
I dropped my toaster cable right down there, and I could get up and get it, but it would take like way too long. So, yeah, thank you very much. Okay. All right, well,
Finally?
Yes, finally. This is the last song of the show.
well, for way too many years, I worked as a legal secretary in a large downtown law firm and had to listen every year to people complaining about how much they hated the holidays. Well, now that Phil and I substitute teach up in the UP in 8 different school districts, we still hear the same thing. Complain, complain, complain.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
All the relatives are descending. Aunt Gertrude will be there.
Oh, I've forgotten to clean out the back porch. You know she's going to find the dust.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
That's where I save it.
And you know what? I don't believe those people, because I don't think when they say they hate the holidays that that's what they really mean. I think what they really mean is they hate all of the stuff we put on top of the holidays. And as far as I'm concerned, when you peel away all that stuff, just like layers of an onion, when you get down to the real core of it, what you find is people trying to survive through the months of dark and cold till the springtime. So that was why this song got written. And I think you'll probably find it. It's still in tune. It's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. And has some bits of it that you will probably remember or can pick up.
Kate and I get to be the bratty commentators.
Yes. It's that time of the year when you go out and buy stuff for people you don't really like. Your boss and your landlord, your crazy Aunt Mary, who tells everyone you're a dyke.
What did you say?
And you think that if someone gives you one more cheese ball, you'll put it, well, we won't say where.
Ow.
But through all this madness, you still feel the magic. You know it will always be there. Christmas or Hanukkah, Solstice or Kwanzaa, whatever the name. Behind all that's crass and commercial, there's something quite real just the same. And despite all the crowds and the traffic, the sloshed party goers dressed up like the Pope.
All over this planet we're dreaming together of peace, joy, and hope. There are Christmas CDs with arrangements of Silent Night by the Tijuana Brass. There's food sweet and rich, so you overindulge and you end up with heartburn and gas. And then there's that family dinner you belch as your father-in-law's saying grace.
That is so hot.
But when Scrooge is redeemed by those 3 ghosts of Christmas, it still brings a smile to your face. Christmas or Hanukkah, Solstice or Kwanzaa, whatever the name. Behind all the tinsel and trappings, there's something quite real just the same. And despite all the shopping, the cooking, the cleaning, the deadlines with which you can't cope,
All over this planet we're dreaming together
of peace, joy, and hope. There are fake Santa Clauses with styrofoam beards who hate kids and like making them cry.
Come back here, kid. Sit on my lap.
There are Christmas trees made out of plastic that smell like a microwave oven that died.
Phew, take it outdoors.
There are people who smile and say Merry Christmas. You know that they wish you were dead, but it's Christmas time keeps you from taking your eggnog and pouring it over their head. Christmas or Hanukkah, Solstice or Kwanzaa, whatever the name, behind all the cheap phony sentiment, something's quite real just the same. And although by the time Christmas Eve rolls around, you may be at the end of your row, all over this planet we're dreaming together of peace, joy, and hope. Of peace, joy, and hope. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So they kind of faked me out. They stopped playing the music, and I thought they were done, and then all of a sudden there was more. Next week, we have the famous Joe Jenks here in our midst, and Phil and I have a secret. I only told Phil about this. Nobody gets out of the coffee house without an encore. Now, unless he spilled the beans, you ladies, Phil, do you have one more?
Yes, we do by chance.
Oh, good. Well,
We're gonna,
lucky. All righty, take it away, guys.
on a slightly more serious note, despite it all, basically sort of speaks to the whole bittersweet reason for being, because there's more to Christmas than all the materialistic stuff. And this song by Zoe Mulford is like the perfect way to, I think of the holiday season. It's called Answer the Knock at the Door, and it pretty much speaks to a lot of the way we feel about the holidays, especially the older we get. And
More people we don't have at our tables when the year comes to its end.
And the
the new
circle of
little
life.
ones coming up.
The little ones coming up and
Yes.
the ones that we miss.
My upstairs neighbor are welcoming a new granddaughter now.
And we had to say goodbye to a lot of musicians the last couple of years. And anyway, answer the knock at the door.
And we're all still here.
And thank you all for coming. The candles are bright and the fire is warm. We're safe from the cold and the night and the storm. Within our four walls there is comfort and cheer. Let us toast our good fortune and bless the new year. As we raise our glasses, a knock at the door, a rude interruption that we could ignore. The table is laid, but there's still room for more. So answer the knock at the door and welcome the latecomer lost on the road, who comes unannounced after so long abroad. And welcome the prodigal, proud and outcast, who comes in repentance for bitterness past.
Welcome the traveler with tales to be told. Welcome the neighbor whose hearth has grown cold. Welcome the refugee, hungry and poor. The table is laid, but there's still room for more. So answer the knock at the door. And as we are gathered with family and friends, we long for the ones who will not come again. But leave no glass untasted and no chair unfilled. When we gather in love, they are all with us still. So welcome the joyful and those who still mourn, and the bride and the groom and the child newborn. The circle's complete, but there's still room for more. So answer the knock at the door. Within our four walls there is comfort and cheer. So toast our good fortune and bless the new year. And should we be rich or should we be poor, may we always get up for the knock at the door. The table is laid, but there's still room for more. So answer the knock at the door. Answer the knock at the door. Happy holiday season to all of you.
We have all had our shots. Come and talk to us as we start breaking down.
With your mask.